We turn now to Oklahoma Republican Senator Tom Coburn. He's in Muskogee this morning. And Senator, before we get to this whole business about the threat to shut down the government, you are the ranking Republican on the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Do you have any information for us on this awful thing that's unfolded this morning in Nairobi?
Well, I don't have any specifics, Bob, beyond what's in the press, other than this is another indication that soft targets is where al-Qaeda is going, and they're not on the decline. They're on the rise, as you can see from Nairobi.
Senator, what is your message to House Republicans this morning who passed this budget that we can't continue government operations and funding the rest of the government unless we defund Obamacare?
Well, I think it's a great attempt to raise the issue of some of the weaknesses and the problems with Obamacare, but it's not a tactic that we can actually carry out and be successful. And I am sure that the Senate is going to move that bill forward. The ironic thing, Bob, is that the answer now in the Senate by those who propose this strategy is to filibuster the very bill they said they wanted. And that's what's wrong with the tactic. We don't have the ability, both according to CRS nor politically, do we have the ability to put a total stop and defund Obamacare. It'd be nice if we did. I'd be in the fight. So I think they're going to get a chance again this next week to vote again and send us something different than that because Harry Reid and the votes are in the Senate that this is going to be changed and sent back to the House. So
there is no way, what you're saying this morning, there is no way that this could possibly pass in the Senate. And so why did they do this, do you think?
Well, there was a tremendous demand among special interests to try to prevent this bill from totally being implemented because of the dangers to our country, the ultimate cost. I agree with them that if we could do this, we should do it, but we can't. And the political reality, tactics and strategies ought to be based on what the real world is, and we do not have the political power to do this. And so we're not about to shut the government down over the fact that we cannot, only controlling one house of Congress, tell the president that we're not going to fund any portion of this because we can't do that.
What do you think the fallout from this is going to be? Some people are going so far as saying that Republicans might lose control of the House next time. The reaction might be so severe, because there's no question. I think this time around, don't you agree that it will be Republicans who will take the blame if by some chance the House, the government was shut down? I, like you, do not believe that will happen, but I don't see any good coming out of this for Republicans.
Well, I think the exercise is fine. I don't think we will shut down the government. I think right now, with our economy where it is, the lack of confidence in our country, we actually have a crisis of confidence in our country right now, both in Congress and with the president. We've got trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline that aren't being invested. We're not going to shut the government down. It takes away from the real focus. The real focus is the $250 to $300 billion that's totally wasted every year by Congress in the federal government. And what we ought to be is about that. And then, we've changed 14 times. We've made changes to Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, and we need to make more. I would love to stop it and send it in a direction where we still have a safety net and really have competitive pricing for health care and transparency. But we're not going to get a chance to do that. So the real issue is to not talk about something that Republicans can win on, which is for the first time since the end of the Korean War, we will have actually decreased discretionary spending in this country 2 years in a row, which is a real achievement. And we haven't even touched the surface of the waste and fraud that's out there.
There was a very serious incident, as you well know, at the Washington Navy Yard last week, Senator. What are we going to do about that? I mean, I know there's a big argument over gun control and all of that, but it seems to me the argument should be about how do we keep weapons out of the hands of deranged people? And I don't see us making any progress on that.
I agree, Bob. You know, that was my greatest disappointment over the gun debate. We had some great amendments. There are things we can do. The first thing is when people are having auditory hallucinations and they're telling that to people in the VA and they're not doing something to actually interchange with that. It sounds to me like the history that a complete mental status, as a physician, a complete mental status exam should have been carried out. We would have seen some of these problems. You know, we have to make it where the healthcare professionals in this country, when they see somebody that is having symptoms of psychosis or schizophrenia, that they can act on that by notifying the do not sell list so that people can't buy a gun. He bought a gun in spite of the fact that at several interchanges, people were aware of his psychosis.
All right.
The other question is how did he walk into the Navy Yard with a shotgun?
All right. Well, Senator, that's a question that nobody right now has been able to answer. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you, Bob.